Today we have, well, I'm not sure what we have. This comes to us from viewer Ted Helvig in Arizona. Ted sent me a box of wood with about 4 pieces in it. He said he was going to be sending me some ash. I don't think this is ash. I've never seen yellow ash before, but anything's possible, that's for sure. I do have an email into Ted to ask him what kind of wood this is. If it's ash, it came from Iowa. Ted will answer me and I'll let you know what he says. Today we're going to make a bowl out of it. Morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Wood Shop. Howdy, let's get to it. The piece is about 6 by 7 as you're looking at it there. It's about 7 inches tall, but much of that's going to go away. This is going to be the bottom. This will be the top. I don't intend to do any turning on the outside of the top. I might, but I don't intend to. I intend to turn down about from here on down, leave about an inch up that way. Not sure how that's going to work out. We might end up turning all of it, but I hope not. I like that outside profile. Try and stick with that. I'm just going to drill a hole here for my woodworm screw, get it mounted up on the lathe, and we'll get to turning. I think that's going to hold that really well. I did take it back off the lathe and cut a flat spot on the bottom here. I just couldn't find a good place for my live center to set. We're going to be turning at 600 RPM, 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. Oh, we're just about there. I'm real close to the top right here, about a ½ an inch away. I like that we're revealing some of the sapwood along with the heartwood. That's a nice contrast. I'm going to take a little bit more away, but not much. I don't want to get it perfectly round, that's for sure. Alright, let's go with that for now. Come down here. I'm going to take some height off of it. It's a little too high for the diameter. So we'll move to the bottom. And we'll mark out for a tenon. And we'll make the tenon. I'm going to switch to a ½ inch so I can get in there a little closer. Now I'm going to use this diamond point tool to square up the sides of the tenon. That's good. Move back over here to the side and see what we can do with this profile. And I bumped the speed up to about 850. Alright, I think that's about the best we can do, the most we can get out of this. And I know it looks raggedy, I know that. It won't look like that when it's sanded and finished. Well, it'll look a little bit raggedy, but not so much as it is now. Yeah, I think that's about what I had in mind. Time for sanding. I'm going to start the sanding with my Sandoflex at 120 grit. I'm going to sand all of the unturned parts here and over here. I guess that's about it. Then I'll switch to 180 grit with the Sandoflex, and then I'll stop there. That's as fine as I like to go with that. Then with my 2-inch disc starting at 80 grit and working up through 400, I'll sand the rest of the piece. And I'll show you what that looks like as soon as I get my mask on. Then I'll do it the other direction as well. Like that. And that'll clean that bark up, what little bit there is up here in this natural area, and smooth it out, but it won't change how it looks. That's the beauty of the Sandoflex. And then the lathe is spinning in reverse at about 350. And that skips over those low spots, so those won't be flattened out by the disc here or here. It's going to work out great. I'll do that up through 400 grit. I'll bring you back here in a bit and we'll put some kind of finish or sanding sealer or something on there. See you in a bit. This is going to take a lot of brushing, but first I want to get everything I can with the rag. This is going to look pretty dang nice, I think. Sanding took a little longer than I thought it would. Lots of little voids and whatnot I had to hand sand. Just try and get sandpaper into that little hole right there, because it was sharp around those edges. Oh, this is a sanding sealer, shellac based sanding sealer. I'll apply 2 coats of this and then 2 coats of shellac over it. And I've been getting a lot of questions about Sandoflex lately. Some people think I make them or sell them. I don't do either. I used to sell them when I worked at a hardware store back in the 70s and 80s. That's where I was first introduced to them. And I've been using them since that time. And if you're looking for one, and I get nothing to tell you this, nothing at all. I get nothing if you buy one. I get nothing. I'm just telling you the best place to buy them and where I get all my refills and whatnot is supergrit.com. Supergrit.com, one word, supergrit. And just get on there and search for Sandoflex. They got the best price and the best selection of refills. They even have their own brand of refills. They're much cheaper and they last much longer. Definitely my preference. I'm just telling you because I get asked so often. That's all. I get nothing for it. Okay, that's pretty much what it looks like. I'm going to keep working on it here, but like I say, 2 coats of this, 2 coats of shellac. I'll bring you back when it's time to start working on the inside. See you in a bit. I have the piece turned around with the tenon mounted up in the chuck. As you can see, I'm going to drill this out. A couple of reasons. One, it's still kind of tall, about 4.5 inches. That's quite a ways away from the chuck. And with no tailstock support, which I cannot use because this is not all that big across here. I just thought it would be easier on the piece. And it's my great-grandson's 6th birthday today, and I got to get to a party, so I thought this might speed things along a little bit. So I'm just going to have the lathe spinning at about 175 RPM. I've got a 2-inch bit in there. I'll work my way up larger and larger until I run out of drill bits or patience or something, and then we'll get to turning. So that's pretty noisy. This is what I'll be doing for a bit. I'll bring you back when it's time to start turning. See you in a bit. You see anything wrong here? Do you see anything wrong? What is wrong with this picture? Well, does this help any? Oops. Oops. Hello. I can't explain it. I don't know. I measured it again. I said it was 4.5. It's actually 4.25. But still, I thought I was at 3.5 inches deep. Let me see how deep I am. Well, I'm at 3 3/4. So I really felt like I had some to go. I do have a depression here around my tenon, and it is a little deeper than I usually make. It turns out to be about 3/4 of an inch. So I just went right through that sucker. So I could toss it, but I'm not going to. No, I know you're all yelling, don't toss it, Phil, fix it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it off camera because I gotta, like I said, I'm in a rush. Okay, well, I realize that might not be fair to, especially to the newbies, how to fix something like this. So far, all I've done is take this half round file, and I just gently went like that, and it came right off. So this is nice and smooth in there now. So then what I'm going to do, as I said, I have this. It's a rifle stock, and I got this from my friend Dennis, and it's walnut, and it's about 2 1/4 inches thick, which is just about right. And so I'm just going to take this over to the bandsaw, cut off a section, put it up between centers, turn it round down to a tenon that'll fit in my chuck on one end, fit it in the chuck, and then turn the other end to fit inside that hole that I just showed you in the bottom of the bowl. So I'll try and show you the couple of steps that I'm going to go through for this. I won't show you the whole thing, but I'll show you so that you get the idea. Okay? That's only fair, I guess, isn't it? Okay, I'll be back in a bit. So I went to the bandsaw and I cut this piece out of the walnut, and you can see a little bitty hole right there for my live center, or my drive center, and a little bitty hole right here for my live center. And I'm just going to put it between centers, and I'm just going to turn a tenon on one end that'll fit inside the chuck jaws, put that tenon inside there, and turn the other end to fit inside the bottom of the bowl. That just gets me giggling every time. And spread glue around here, stick this on there, and let it set overnight. I'll be back. So now I've turned the tenon on to fit in my chuck. Now I don't need it anywhere near this long, so I'll cut it off about here. I'll give myself about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch to fit up inside the bowl, the hole in the bottom of the bowl, and I'll turn that down to fit in there, and we'll be good to go. So I'll do that next. So I have it turned down to fit inside the hole in the bottom of the bowl. I also cut some tiny little grooves in there to give the glue a place to go, and now we'll just put some glue on it. Spread it around, and I'll put a little bit in the bottom of the bowl as well. And then we'll put it on there, and it's a very snug fit. So I'm going to bring up my tailstock. I've got my cone center on there. I'm going to use that to push it on squarely. And then look over here. I think that's probably far enough. I think I'm up in there about a 1/2 inch or so. So there we go. So now I'll just let that set tonight, and tomorrow we will resume hollowing out the inside of the bowl. It was pretty hollow there for a minute, all right. Okay, see you tomorrow. Well, alrighty then. I drilled my hole a little bit larger to 2 3/4. It was at 2 1/4. I took about 3 or 4 drill bits to get up to this size, because I didn't want to stress my glue joint down there. it hadn't been 24 hours when I did that. It's about, no, it's not quite 24 hours yet, but it's close. What I have when I put my calipers in here like that, I've got about a 3/4 inch bottom, and that's good. That'll give me a chance to blend the walnut into the sides. Additionally, this is an end grain turning, so I'm going to be turning from the inside out. That's the easiest way to turn end grain. But then we have a couple more concerns. One is right here, where you see it dips down. If I try and keep that, we're going to have really thick walls. If I only come out to here, we're going to have an inch or better out here and over here. But there's another concern. Well, I didn't finish my thought on this. This is where that dip is. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and come out beyond this wall. And that'll cause a hole in here. Not a hole, but a void. But that's okay. I hate to lose this little bit of bark that we have. And I think there'll still be some left, but it'll probably be something like this. And that's okay. That doesn't bother me at all. What does bother me is this side. Now this down here, when I stick my calipers in there, from the inside, we only have about 1/2 inch. So I really have to taper those walls on the inside, or else we're going to come out and we will have a hole down here, and I don't want that. I still want to be kind of gentle with this. I might end up going with carbide, but I'm going to start with a 5/8 inch bowl gouge. We're going to be turning at 700 RPM. Mask and face shield on. That's probably just about right. I really didn't want to go with a void on this side as well. We could. I kind of like it just on this one side, but I wish I could turn faster. I think I'm gonna go sharpen up. It's always good to take those little breaks to sharpen up or get coffee or whatever and look the piece over. And I think we're still too thick. I mean, I don't have a lot of room some places, but other places I do have. We haven't come down here as far as I thought we would. It's only down maybe 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna thin these walls down some. I don't, like I said, I don't want to come out on this side, but I do have a good 3/8 of an inch that I could go more. So let's do that. I just wish I could pick the speed up. You know what I did? Maybe you see that kind of skipping right over the bottom. I contemplated which way to go on my plug. This is all end grain, and I intended to go end grain, but I flipped it. And so this is side grain down here. Now we want to be going that way, cut the side grain, because it's just skipping over the side grain when I come from the inside out. So that might have been a mistake. I thought it would be stronger. I guess I am going to have to go to carbide to blend that walnut to the side wall here. We'll try this. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of shear scraping and call it good. Yep, quit while you're ahead. Time for sanding. Well, that looks like it's going to be pretty easy. I'll be using my 2-inch disc starting at 80 grit and working up through 400 grit. And I have the lathe spinning forward at about 350. I'll bring you back here in just a little bit and we'll put some sanding sealer on there. See you in a bit. Well, one benefit to this, I guess, my little whoopsie here, is I get to add another one to my playlist of mishaps. I'll try to remember to link that at the end of the video. People are always saying, don't you ever make mistakes? Yes, I do. And I got a whole playlist full of them. This turned out better than I thought it might. Of course, we're not done yet. Still have to cut that tenon off of there, and then I have glue residue to deal with down there. But I think we'll be okay, I hope. I'm counting on it. And I used a contrasting wood, the walnut, because there's just no way to match up the same grain pattern. There's just no way to do it. Even if you use the same wood, you're going to get a different grain pattern. And that, to me, that looks worse than something completely different. This might have been on purpose. This might have been an artful thing. Nobody knows but you and me. And I'm not telling, so if word gets out, I'll know who did it. Okay, that's the first of 2 coats of sanding sealer. And then 2 coats of shellac, and I'll bring you back and we will take off the tenon. See you in a bit. I've got a block of wood mounted up in my chuck. It has a non-slip surface on it, but it's not enough for this piece because this is kind of narrow in here. It'll hit the edges, so I'm going to place a non-slip cloth over that and bring up the bowl. And bring up my tailstock. I still have a little tiny center there from my drive center. There we go. I'll bring up my tool rest. We'll spin the piece up, see if it's running true. Pretty dang close, close enough. Turn the speed up to about 600 RPM. I'm going to grab a 3/8 inch bowl gouge and commence to removing that tenon. Check for clearance, and we do have clearance. Okay, now I'm going to switch to my swept back bowl gouge. I'm going to turn the speed down to about 400 RPM. Now about 200 RPM, and I'm going to apply the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl. Right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch, and when the little nub stops turning, we'll know we're through. Now I'll just take this over here to the workbench, sand that up, sign it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Be sure you stick around to the end of the video so you can see the before and after shots of this piece. If you'd share the video, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, here it is. One Iowa ash natural edge bowl in the books with a little whoopsie in the middle. Well, you know, stuff happens. That's that low spot I was telling you about. It's quite thin. That's where I had to stop turning. But it turned out okay, I think. Looks okay. I love that natural part. I love the heartwood and sapwood combination. Tiny little bit of bark there. And this, what do you think that is? I think it's one of the coolest parts about it. I think that's where somebody's chainsaw skipped about a little bit there. And I could have sanded it out, but it feels good. I think it looks good. It's kind of a nice little accent. I really like it. And that also, that is a chainsaw cut right there. But if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know it. I don't think. Maybe you would. There's the bottom all finished up. Yes, I did sign it. I know you can't read it, but it's signed. Can't help that part. Finished up quite nicely. Tell me what you think. Thank you, Ted Helvig, for sending this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up, please. I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I love reading them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.